we have a very mixed model, and that's probably being polite, as it relates to consent and who can use what information and who's allowed to send what information and who within an organization can actually see that information. Consent an issue, or will it be an issue, or will it go away?
Well, no, it is an issue. It's absolutely an issue, especially when you start thinking about the granularity of consent that's available to consumers and patients now. And I think back to the PCAST report and looking at the way that the atomization of data, or the molecularization at least, of the health data, and these data were supposed to be tagged, and e-consent, is a big deal right now. The problem also is there's no national model for consent. So you've got 57 states and territories that are each approaching it from different ways, and you've got sort of these spaghetti strands of consent models out there, and so it's a big problem.
We actually were emailing back and forth the other day, and this was about WhatsApp. We're back to the $19 billion that none of us made. But here's the issue, right? So the story that Adrian emailed me the other day was that WhatsApp, as soon as it got bought by Facebook, lost 300,000 members in Germany, because the Germans are obsessed with privacy for various historical reasons you might be aware of. And I was saying to him, it's great. If I am, texting my kid, my mistress, my, partner in crime or whatever, I'm not sure I want anyone to ever see that. But if I am, each piece of part of health data, there are some parts I don't want anyone to see ever, and there are a series of other parts that I want different people to see under different circumstances. And if I'm dying on the street, I want everyone who's in that whole chain automatically to get the data very easily. But other parts I want to have encrypted, I don't want my employer to see. And you understand that it's a very complex piece. And I don't think we have worked through societally what that even begins to mean. And if you want an example of where it's going wrong, in the UK this week, they've been having the issue where they were basically going to take all the anonymized, depersonalized NHS data and stick it over for research purposes, which I think is a great idea. I would love to see more better medical research on real data rather than the crappy clinical trials we have now that generate much of our healthcare. And there's been a sort of revolt, and our buddy Tim Kelsey over there is in trouble because he's been attacked by the non-consent crowd. So Adrian may have some different views about this than me, and others may have different views, but we have to acknowledge that there are different types of consent and use for the same piece of data, which vary dramatically. And I don't know if we're even close to thinking through that stuff.
But I tend to think that the privacy part, I do agree that society hasn't decided as a whole, but segments of society absolutely have decided. For example, there are companies, and you just saw a few mentioned here, where they do care about privacy, and they've adjusted their processes and their procedures, et cetera, irrespective of technology. So it's a process, it's a people problem, and of course technology will come as it will in all cases. What I believe that the rest of the community, most patients, absolutely don't care about privacy, because if they did, they'd do something about it. That's one thing. Second thing, we want them to do more about it, but we in the vendor community on the builder side are just doing a horrible job caring enough to do the minor extra cost it takes to do security and privacy. And number three, we're kind of depending on the hope and the prayer that there are enough people who will do the right thing that it will fix itself. None of that, of course, is true. So if you look at the first part, it goes back again. Privacy is the same as interoperability. It's a question about demand. If I'm a patient at Dr. X, and Dr. X happens to work at Mayo, and I saw that Mayo did not do a good job with my privacy, and then I go to Brian's hospital because I said, I didn't like the way you chose to release my information, et cetera, so I'm going to switch hospitals. That's what it means to truly care about privacy. And there are some people, a small group of people, that will do that. Unfortunately, the larger group of people, just like they don't care about taking care of their own quantified self or homo medicus, which was awesome. Because we don't see homo medicus, we don't see homo privacy either. I don't know.